Hi everyone! We are the Backstage team. Welcome behind the scenes.
As a team of cinema lovers, we wanted to share with you all the thrills we felt in front of the big screen. In the making, our film became the story of a woman's emancipation from Hollywood clichés and, at the same time, the story of the evolution of cinema itself. We chose 4 key movie genres rooted in easily identifiable periods.
Working in 4 different genres meant the shooting was one of the most ambitious parts of the project. We opted for natural film locations with directed lighting.
The number of people and means mobilized on each set was large. Organization was key for circulating between sites and communicating with the location owners fluidly.
We faced challenging scenarios, shooting in nature at night without electricity or in a church far away from school. I monitored the team's every need to make sure the shooting ran smoothly between our 4 different locations.
The credibility of each era depended largely on the acting. I organized 2 castings and 3 rehearsals with Samuel so that our actors had a clear idea of our intentions.
On set, we reproduced techniques from the 1930s, such as background projections using a green screen. As we created our own non-realistic lighting on set, we kept our key and clean to ease the integration.
We also knew that during the VFX stage, we had to strike the right balance between historical, realistic lighting and a more modern aesthetic which would fit better with post-production.
I created the main skyscraper from start to finish. To quickly get the basic materials, I made my textures in Substance Designer, used them as projection in Substance Painter, and finally imported everything in Mari to get the variations needed to feel real.
I worked with satellite data to build 2 realistic New York, one for the 1930s and one for the modern ending shot. I did a few photogrammetries too.
Following the idea of replicating older techniques with modern means, I did matte paintings for the Western shots. I was inspired by the mattes from John Ford's movie, The Searchers. The challenge here was to adapt the composition of the mattes in such a way as to limit our rotoscopy work and to keep the old Western style.
For a classical 1950s Western look, I decided to do sky replacements. In addition to adapting the color grading, we used fake grain and lens effects.
Basically, for the night sequence, we couldn't shoot a real fire on location, so we used orange LED panels to light our actors. Then, we shot our own campfire stock shots.
I simulated King Kong's burning tuft of fur in Houdini. This asset leads us to the modern genre and symbolizes the despair of our female character. Following the right rhythm was key. In the science fiction sequence, the black hole represents simultaneously the love declaration of our male character and a portal to the genre of romantic comedy. The challenge was to keep the smoke volume realistic while optimizing the files.
To sculpt and shape the spacesuit, I mixed references from movies like Ad Astra or Interstellar. We did photogrammetries of our actors and placed them inside the suit to get correct light bounces on the helmets.
We printed the helmet in 3D to use it on set in order to have a correct 3D mesh for the geotrack. The geotracking was the simplest solution for transcribing the acting and replacing the whole suit with CG.
The biggest challenge of this sequence was to match the animation given by the geotracking while following the actors' movements and simulating zero-G motion.
After doing a previs of the lights in CG, we replicated on set the blue bounce of the planet and the key light of the black hole on our actors.
Taking the gorilla from the concept to the final sculpt was tricky, as we needed 2 different gorillas, the original from the 1930s and the one at the end from a modern remake of the movie King Kong. I sculpted one mesh and added details with a displacement map to enhance King Kong for the modern era.
To texture a realistic King Kong, I was inspired by a real picture that I reprojected on my 3D mesh in Mari.
The same approach was used for the grooming. I did one groom for the puppet style and another one for the realistic part at the end.
To highlight the differences between the original and the remade gorilla, I reproduced a stop-motion effect for the 1930s part. Then, based on modern references, I made a more realistic animation for the final shots.
To bring out the stop-motion effect, Andréa and I created a setup to select and move base curve guides based on the mesh acceleration. This recreated the flicking effect. Then I added a cluster selection to bring more randomness.
For our final sequence, I produced the effects of the church destruction to make the King Kong remake more spectacular, in the modern blockbuster style.
We hope that our film made you want to rewatch all these classic films. Thanks for coming with us on this cinematic tour.